insurancewarranty.com.
Of the thousands of lawsuits Meta faces over child safety on its platforms, none may be more consequential than one going to trial this week in California.
States are seeking extensive financial damages that could, in theory, total as much as $1.4 trillion, plus changes in how the company operates Facebook and Instagram. The lawsuit accuses the social media giant of contributing to a youth mental health crisis by knowingly and deliberately designing addictive features. The trial in federal court in Oakland features 4 states as plaintiffs: California, Colorado, Kentucky, and New Jersey. Rich Thomason reporting.
Well, there's a good sign for some high-tech companies right now. Google's parent company, Alphabet. Berkshire Hathaway is increasing its stake in the corporation, also boosting its holdings in home builders. The company also continued to pare its stake in financial companies. Breaking news at townhall.com. Tragedy breaks out as there was a deadly stampede at a Hindu temple in eastern India's Bihar state today. It happened hours after a fire swept through a hotel housing pilgrims in West Bengal state. Here's Charles De Ledesma.
A deadly stampede has broken out at a Hindu temple in India's Bihar state, killing people and injuring many more. According to preliminary reports, an electric wire snapped outside the temple premises early in the morning, sparking panic as devotees rushed to escape. What they feared was a risk of electrocution. A section of the barricades collapsed under the weight of the surging crowd, leading to a crush in which people fell over one another, according to Shailendra Kumar, a civil official. The incident occurred near Ashok Dham Temple in Lakhisarai district, as thousands of devotees gathered to offer prayers on the third Monday of Shravan. I'm Charles De Ledesma.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Yes, we are in a new time slot. This is the afternoon drive time, the beginning of it. We're on now 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are glad we got to sleep in, which is kind of fun, interesting. We look forward to talking with you this afternoon. Time for the rundown for Monday, August 17th, brought to you by our very good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. So here we go. Here's a rundown for Monday, August 17th, 2026. Number 1, a crisis of mental health for high-profile young adults. 36-year-old actress Hayden Panettiere, I think I pronounced that right, died of cardiac arrest over the weekend. She's had a long history of depression and addiction. Star of the TV show Nashville and Heroes. She played the daughter of the football coach in the 2000 movie Remember the Titans. Number 2, 41-year-old Jason Arday. He's the youngest black professor in the history of the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. Resigned last week over allegations he made up a lot of things about himself. He died by suicide over the weekend. The question is, why did these young, talented people give up hope? Well, we think a lack of faith, I think, and support maybe had something to do with it. Number 3, it's primary day tomorrow in Florida. Will Byron Donalds win the GOP nomination for governor? And will embattled Congressman Corey Mills be defeated? We'll see. I think the answer will be yes to both those questions, but we'll find out tomorrow. Number 4, public school teachers across the nation are saying our kids can't read or write. Here in Nashville, Samira Hardcastle made that statement. We've got a summary of the statement she made. She did an interview earlier today with Dan Mandis on 99.7 WTN right here in town. And I think we will actually have her here in studio sometime this week. Just confirming that. Number 5, Tom Pappert at the bottom of this hour will give you an update on, yes, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the illegal alien, or legal law firms have spent, $25 million now on his due process rights? Yeah. There's more to the story. We have the latest update. And then number 6, Mark Pulliam, our Star News legal analyst, the best legal analyst in the country, will be here with Hour 2. And we'll talk about a lot of things, Southern Poverty Law Center, and a couple of other stories. Allison Burroughs, a judge, kind of caved ultimately on TPS, temporary protected status for Somalians. So there you go. That is the rundown for Monday, August 17th, 2026, brought to you by our very good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about what our friends at the Glock Store are doing coming up. It's Saturday, September 19th. You hear me talk about them all the time. They're right here in Nashville, Tennessee. They are the home of Second Amendment practitioners in the United States. So Saturday, September 19th, they're having an incredible event called Force on Force that puts you into intense, realistic, live-action scenarios that test your marksmanship and your split-second decisions-making skills. You're armed with a Glock 17T. The T stands for training. It fires simunition that leaves a mark where you hit someone or where you get hit. You'll go through 2 different real-life-based scenarios and get a professional performance evaluation after each session. This is how special forces, SWAT teams, tactical operators around the world train, and now it's open to the public and available at the Glock Store. This will likely be the last Force on Force training event this year. Now, there are only 2 sessions available and only 15 slots per session. They will sell out. I'm amazed that they may have already sold out. No, I guess there's a couple spots more. So you need to go to glockstore.com/FOF, glockstore.com/FOF, and sign up. So there you go. Our good friends at the Glock Store. Okay, this story really was bothersome and sad in the way so many stories are sad today. This actress, Hayden Panettiere, who had a skyrocketing career, but also had huge mental health problems, addiction problems, and apparently she had a child back in 2014 with her husband, who's Vladimir Klitschko or something like that, a boxer from Ukraine. He was a world champion level boxer. But when the child was 4, she lost custody, and she just was, she was in mental health difficulties for a long time. She put out a memoir in May, and here is one of her interviews, and it's painful to listen and watch because you could tell that this was somebody really in great mental distress. Here we go. Hayden Panettiere. Just a couple weeks ago.
Idea that anybody would think that I would just give away my child and be okay with it is heartbreaking. Couldn't be further from the truth. You know, as you said, I was struggling with mental health and anxiety and the postpartum and having to act my way through it and just feeling like I completely lost myself. And I think a misconception is that I have been in the past forced into treatment when in fact I have been the one who sought it out, who was saying, I desperately need help. I know this is going to look terrible, but I cannot live like this anymore. And even though Vlad didn't understand it, the people around me didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. They were supportive. I went to go get help. They didn't know what was going on. And so it became this horrible cycle for years of battling depression and anxiety and alcoholism and substance abuse and me just trying to find my way back, my way out of this darkness.
So, I mean, it goes on. And, it's so sad. Very talented young actress. This now breaking on this from the Post Millennial. A representative for the actress told ABC News that she had died, but then the headline here is, it looks like that the cause of death was a cardiac arrest after a suspected overdose. I don't know, how you can deal with somebody who's given up, lost that much hope, and is having such difficulty struggling. She had reported that she had been, when as a young actress, someone had attempted to sexually assault her. She got over that. She escaped it, but she just is having difficulty dealing with life, and it's very, very sad to see this. And yet, increasingly, we see a number of highly talented young people kind of get to the point where they kind of give up and can't cope. You wish, I guess, if anybody is out there right now who's feeling this way, don't give up. There is always hope. I'm thinking of this right now. Our friends at Loam Technology are launching a new AI platform called Uplift, which basically says there is hope. And, hopefully that'll have a positive impact. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about the problem in public schools. Kids can't read, they can't write, they can't do basic math. Why is that, and why haven't we done something about it? Back with more after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Those of you who just listen to the John Fredericks Media Network in the afternoon may be wondering, who is this guy? Michael Patrick Leahy. I've been on the John Fredericks Radio Network in the 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. to noon time slot for, 2 or 3 years now. And before that, I was on 1510 WLAC from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. I don't recommend that, by the way. It's not good for your health to do 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is the first time we're doing the afternoon. And so hello to those of you who are listening, usually listen to other programming on John Fredericks Radio Network. We would be delighted to hear from you. Let me give you our phone number, 615-814-2848. 615-814-2848. And you can call, and we'd like to get you to give us 3 pieces of information. Number 1, your name. Number 2, the state in which you reside. And number 3, your topic. That's basically it. 615-814-2848. Now, you can listen to us, here in Nashville on 760 AM WENO. And, of course, John Fredericks has 21 or so radio stations around the country, and Pittsburgh and West Virginia and Atlanta, Georgia. And then you can go online and just, pick out any of the online outlets: Rumble, YouTube, Roku TV, Apple TV, Firestick. I think there's probably something. We're on Spotify too. So that's where you can hear us. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something that's pretty important. We've put together a little nonprofit group called Tennessee Leads, which is going to be focusing on delivering a new method of instruction for K-5 kids so they can actually learn to read and write and do basic math. Because I'm sorry to say that the public schools across the country are failing dramatically in that. Reading proficiency is way down. Math proficiency down, compared to decades ago. And here's the problem with it. If you can't read, if you can't write, if you can't do basic math, you cannot think critically. And for the survival of our constitutional republic, we need citizens who can think critically. Now, you've seen all over the country, public school teachers have come out and said, my kids can't write. My kids can't read. My kids can't do basic math. Well, the latest was here in Nashville, Metro Nashville Public Schools. A teacher by the name of Samira Castle, a decorated teacher, well-regarded, award-winning teacher, after 8 years resigned, and she talked about her resignation in this 2-minute clip before the Metro Nashville Board of Education. Let's play this clip right now from last week.
I was Teacher of the Year at John F. Kennedy Middle School in Antioch this past year, and Blue Ribbon Teacher of the Year for the district. What you have in front of you right now is my resignation letter. I resigned in May. You can read those 3 pages at your leisure, but I've heard a lot of positive data in this meeting, and I just wanted to give you some facts from my firsthand experience. So first, district leaders asked me to fabricate grades for a parent who sat in the office for hours until her daughter's failing grades were changed. It creates false entitlement. What happens when these kids lie, cheat, and cry their way through school and end up as future doctors, police, or politicians? When will you protect the future of our society? Second, that same parent has harassed over 30 teachers. Teachers have filed police reports, and entire school districts have had or entire schools have had restraining orders against her. Yet she's still allowed on school property, showing up to field trips her child didn't earn, and filming other students. When will you stop prioritizing parents' feelings over the safety of our teachers and our students? I heard you also mention that we're closing gaps in teacher vacancies. I want the public to know that many of those are filled with uncertified teachers. My third point, HR withheld money from my employee paycheck as well as many others. They took $500 from me specifically, and it put me behind on my mortgage. And then they sent out an email saying that they had to do it to pay other employees. When will you pay teachers what they are owed? My fourth point, the news reports that behavioral issues are down. They are not. We are simply banned from reporting them, forcing us to keep disruptive students in the classroom. Statistics are being skewed to protect the district, not our children. Our children cannot read and write. They cannot do basic math. And we spend 40 hours a week with these students, so we know them better than the district and those fake numbers. Please stop undermining our professional decisions, because honestly, it's breaking the efficiency and it's giving HOA quality. So Dr. Battle, my question to you
Thank you. The time.
Okay.
Did the Metro Nashville Board look like this was something they were interested in? No, they did not. Let's go to our interview this morning with Dan Mandis. And it looks like we're going to have her Wednesday afternoon on the show. Dan Mandis had this interview with Samira Hodcastle this morning. Let's play this clip right now.
Is the crisscross handoff, which we usually do right now, but we're not going to do it today because you are a very special guest. So thank you for joining us. So just so you know, we covered extensively because I have a bee in my bonnet over Adrian Battle and have for years and years. So when you went up in front of the Metro School Board and just quit in such epic fashion, it was amazing. I played like 15 audio bites from it. It was really great. So you are an award-winning teacher. Real quick, you were at the JFK Middle School, and you went up in front of the Metro Nashville School Board. You quit, and your story kind of went viral. I mean, you were on Fox News, I think, over the weekend. Yeah. You've been doing a lot of interviews. Did you expect this kind of a response?
Not at all. I just showed up and thought I was going to speak about what I was going through and be done with it.
One of the things that you said, I've got your basically 3-page resignation letter. The one sentence that really came out to me really jumped out at me was, it is not safe to teach anymore. That's what you said in italics. Talk about why you feel that way, and then we're going to get into some of the other specifics, because I will tell you that as a guy who is very concerned about Metro Nashville schools, this is a very, very damning report.
Yes. So it is not safe to teach anymore, and it comes down to how they prioritize the parents over the teachers. You know, they don't listen to the teachers. We're not treated as professionals. And then when you give parents that type of power, they're going to use it and run with it.
Well, you use one example, and I'm just going to read straight from your letter of resignation. Lack of teacher protection is one reason for the Antioch High School shooting. Our teachers complained about Solomon Henderson, but nothing was done. So he left our school, JFK Middle, went to Antioch High and murdered someone. Adrian Battle should know that people who work for her are not supporting us. Did you actually have Solomon Henderson in your class?
I did not. I believe he was there before me, but some of the teachers that I worked with had him.
Okay, so we've just confirmed that Samira Hardcastle will be here in studio 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, one of the things I want to talk to her about is she started out as a math teacher and then became an art teacher. That's an interesting movement. But I want to talk to her a little bit about, elaborate more on her statement. Kids cannot do basic math. Also, I want to talk in detail about this pressure to fabricate grades and other information. You know, I felt for a long time that in many of these large urban districts that there is pressure to create the impression that there is progress, when in fact, often there is not progress. And I want to explore that a little bit more. So Samira has said that she doesn't want to teach again. I'm not so sure that if somebody wants to teach. She's done 8 years. She's an award-winning teacher. Well, we'll explore that a little bit. I think she feels, well, I'll let her speak for herself when she comes on Tuesday, rather on Wednesday at 2 p.m. here on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Important. It's not just Samira. We've been reporting on this problem of kids unable to do basic math, do reading, to read, to write. If you can't do basic math, if you can't read or can't write, you can't think critically. And so many times now, we are experiencing problems with people, young children, young kids, unable to think critically. That's not going to augur well for the future, and we must fix it. When we come back, we'll be joined by Tom Pappert with an update on Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Ponder this. Why would God permit evil to occur? Why does he allow bad things to happen to good people? Why doesn't he intercede when innocent people are unjustly accused? These questions sometimes cause good people to turn their face away from God and question the very existence of God. But God does exist, and he does permit evil. Why, you ask? The short answer is that God permits evil to bring about a greater good. Think about this. The greatest evil ever committed is the killing of our God, Jesus Christ, the second person of the Holy Trinity. From this great evil came the greatest good, the opening of the gates of heaven. That's right, heaven did not open until Christ shed his blood for us. We must always trust God's plan for our salvation, especially when hard times fall upon us. Pray, trust, and persevere in good times and bad. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign trail like Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our Zoom newsmaker line by the award-winning journalist, the winner of the Dow Prize for the best local journalism in the country, awarded by the National Journalism Center, to yours truly and Christina Botteri, our executive editor, and our lead political reporter, Tom Pappert. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Michael.
It's kind of weird to say good afternoon, isn't it?
It'll take a little getting used to. I think by Friday, we'll no longer be accidentally saying good morning to each other.
This is the first time I've hosted an afternoon radio show after, 8 or 9 years of morning shows. 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Do not recommend 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Not good for your health. But 9 a.m. to 11, that was pretty good. But here we are now. Now it's the early drive time. So the news cycle has moved rapidly. Speaking of news cycle, there's an old story that's back again. The never-ending legal battles surrounding the illegal alien Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who, just remind everybody, the story you broke that resulted in his removal from El Salvador to come back to the United States to face human smuggling charges. Just remind everybody about the story you broke.
Of course. Now, for those who don't remember, this is the so-called Maryland man. He was deported to El Salvador. They said that he wasn't deported legally, and it's been a legal nightmare, I think is safe to say, ever since. But what we reported at the Tennessee Star is that all the way back in 2022, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was stopped in the state of Tennessee by Highway Patrol. He was driving 9 people in his vehicle, which appeared to have been modified. There's some confusion about whether they added an extra row of seats or not. Not a single person in this vehicle had identification. They didn't have seatbelts on. They didn't have any luggage. They might have had a toothbrush, and that's it. Abrego Garcia was allegedly speeding, swerving, so they stopped him to question him about this. Well, at some point, we now know from a DHS-provided document, they began to suspect human trafficking. But when they looked up Abrego Garcia in their database, they essentially were given a moniker to call the FBI for further instruction. And after calling the FBI, this is what a THP spokesman told us last year, well, the FBI said to go ahead and release Abrego Garcia. And that is exactly what they did. And we now know from court documents, the Trump administration, the Department of Justice has confirmed that it was our reporting at the Tennessee Star that sparked the human smuggling case that was filed against Abrego Garcia last year. Now, of course, Michael, that's its own story, where the Obama-appointed judge has dismissed that case for vindictive prosecution. That case is on appeal, but that's not even the one you brought me on for.
I know. The vindictive prosecution case thing is just crazy because there was no vindictive prosecution whatsoever. The judge was just reaching for straws and apparently ignored the role that we played in breaking the story. We had nothing to do with any federal sources in breaking the story. We got sources from inside the Tennessee Highway Patrol that told us that. That's where we got that information. He missed that. But now the other stream of litigation. By the way, how much do you think in legal fees Kilmer Abrego Garcia has racked up?
Well, you know, when you look at it, these are some of the top law firms in the country. One of the ones we're going to talk about, or then the lawsuit we're going to talk about today, representing Abrego Garcia, is called Quinn Emanuel. And this is the law firm that when the rich and famous, the Elon Musks of the world need a lawyer, Elon Musk has literally hired this firm before. And when you look at how many filings each of these cases have had, and I think there's a total of like 5 different court cases involving Abrego Garcia, some of them will be 3-4 pages long. So I would estimate, we don't have hard numbers, you're talking upward of $10 million just in lawyer bills going back and forth with Abrego Garcia and his many supporters.
Okay, so give us an update on the immigration ruling. Now, this is the one, this is not the criminal proceeding for the human smuggling in Tennessee that's on appeal. This is the one with the Obama-appointed judge in Maryland, Paula Zenas, who has never met an illegal alien she didn't like and didn't want to keep in the United States. Just unraveled all this. The 4th District, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 4th District, had a ruling. Tell us what happened.
Yes, so for our morning listeners that are now tuning in the afternoon, you'll remember that a few months ago, it seemed as though Paula Zenas, this Obama-appointed judge, put the Trump administration in a catch-22, where they had until April 17th to appeal her order that forbade them from rearresting Abrego Garcia, forbade ICE from doing that. But then she entered a second ruling that specifically forbade the Trump administration from deporting Abrego Garcia to Liberia, the country in West Africa that has agreed to accept him, said they'll treat him well, said they'll do everything exactly like Costa Rica, which is the country that Abrego Garcia wants to go to. He got some assurances from the State Department from Costa Rica during a failed plea deal negotiation last year. So this catch-22 put the Trump administration in a bind. Do they file their appeal before April 17th, or do they wait until the judge rejects their request to reconsider their prohibition on deporting Abrego Garcia to Liberia? They went ahead and made the argument that because Zenas had issued these rulings in such a fashion and essentially said she was not going to give them an answer, that she had constructively denied their request. Well, the 4th District came back, the 4th District Court of Appeals came back last week and said that they will consider whether or not ICE can rearrest Abrego Garcia, but they will not consider whether he can be deported to Liberia. They sent the Liberia question back to Zinnes. But wait, Michael, there's more. Because Mullen, the DHS secretary, newly appointed earlier this year, he's confirmed that it is his position that Abrego Garcia can go to Costa Rica, where he wants to go. So now, if this Fourth Court of Appeals comes back with a ruling that says ICE can, in fact, rearrest him, Zinnes may not even get a chance to rule on the Liberia question, because under Mullen, this guy may be on the first DHS ICE flight to Costa Rica.
Well, the drama there will continue, won't it? So play out that scenario. Now, so they could rearrest him at any time, is that right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals has said that they will consider that issue. They're going to weigh it. They're going to give a ruling. They need arguments first. I believe September 21st is the next deadline for motions to be submitted. So if they give a rapid response, maybe by Christmas, Michael.
This is so crazy. James commented on your article at the Tennessee Star about this. How can one guy tie up our legal system like this dude, impeach a few of these judges, and that would stop it? It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, I think he's right, by the way, that these judges, in my opinion, I may have to go before one of them someday. You never know. So you got to be very careful whenever you invoke a judge's name. Yeah. But I think that these judges seem to think that they are essentially the highest authority in the United States of America, higher than Congress, higher than the president, in some cases higher than the appellate courts over them. So I think James is right. I think that even bringing the proceedings against someone like Paula Zinnes would send the message to the rest of the legal community that maybe we're getting a little bit too cute.
So this whole thing began, well, I mean, he was deported right in March of 25. And then we broke the story, it would have been April of 25, that that same guy. Now, March of 25, he's deported, and there's this big brouhaha that he was deported to the wrong country, is withholding a removal order said. Now, which country did that say he couldn't be removed to? Just to remind everybody. Was it?
In the black and white of the order that was written by an immigration judge back in 2019, it said Abrego Garcia could not be returned to Guatemala, not his native country of El Salvador.
Okay, so that was a screw up one way or another. I don't know with the judge or the interpretation thereof. Anyways, they deported him to El Salvador. Then, while he's in El Salvador, Chris Van Hollen goes down there and has a margarita with him, the senator from Maryland. Because, that's his priority. Then in April, we break the story. We break the story at the Tennessee Star that he had been arrested in this obvious situation of human smuggling and released at the order of the Biden-era FBI. Pam Bondi made a decision to bring him back here. I had some friends who said, no, don't bring him back. Leave him in El Salvador. Well, the problem with that is the Supreme Court, citing the judge's ruling with a parentheses put in, the court said he couldn't be deported to, and they inserted El Salvador when it's really Guatemala. Okay. But the Supreme Court said, you've got to begin looking at the process of bringing him back. They didn't order to bring him back. So there was a Supreme Court issue they had to deal with. Probably was the right decision to bring him back. But would you have anticipated when they brought him back in May of 25 that here in August of 2026, I don't know, we're probably at the earliest 6 months away from any resolution? Would you have anticipated that, Tom?
No, Michael, but I think it's been a learning experience about exactly what it means to have 8 years of Obama and 4 years of Biden appointing judge after judge after judge.
You got that one right, Tom. All right. Tom Patrick, thank you so much for that excellent report. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Up next, yes, the socialists are crazy. Evidence, well, we'll bring it to you after the break.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He knows state politics have impact everywhere, so now he goes national at 9, hitting all the hot spots that are about to blow. Monday, it's the Pennsylvania Posse. Tuesday, get the Texas Truth. Wednesday, the Peach Crew dishes Georgia. Thursday, it's the DC Dispatch. And Friday, the Virginia Gang is in the studio. Every day at 9, John lets the spotlight shine. It's local, it's national, it's everything. The John Fredericks Show, weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here.
Ponder this. It's amazing how many of us choose to go about our daily life without recognizing others who cross our paths each day. Take, for example, your morning walk, run, or workout at the gym. As we encounter others, often we don't make eye contact, let alone smile or greet each other. Listening to music or a podcast with our earbuds is so much more preferable than having to greet others we encounter. As a result, people are becoming more and more disconnected from each other. So let's start a human connection trend. Here's an experiment for you to try. Put your phone and earbuds away for a day while in public. Try to engage others in your path with a simple smile and a kind hello. These simple gestures will become a powerful force in the world. A smile costs nothing, but can be a powerful tool to brighten the day for others. Let your smile be a light for all to see. It's a gesture of love from the Lord. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Here's a big question for you. Why are young people, people under the age of 40, particularly under the age of 30, why are they embracing socialism? Well, they've got some odd ideas. Here is a member of the New York State Assembly. That's their lower house of the state legislature. There are about 150 members of the assembly in New York State, and this is one of them. I think she's from Brooklyn or someplace like that. Listen to what she has to say about criminal justice.
Most of what we saw were crimes of poverty. People who were stealing things like toothpaste. People who were stealing things like, soap. And that means if you're stealing those things, you need them. And we are choosing to protect billion-dollar companies like CVS and Walgreens over the people who are struggling to get by. So I would say that the true crime is that there is such incredible wealth disparity in this city that there are people who can be thrown in jail simply for having a biological need. And so
okay, I can't take any more. You can be thrown in jail simply for having a biological need. What? Stealing some soap? They're not stealing soap. Just soap, right? They're stealing stuff they can sell for drugs. And by the way, that state legislator is, how old would you say she is? Maybe 35, something like that? Yeah, I think so. She could lose a few lbs, don't you think? She could lose a few lbs. And were there tattoos present? I think there were. What is it with, I'm just going to sit around and eat Cheetos and, complain and get tattooed. That's not a way to build a country. Well, Newt Gingrich has a few things to say. Newt, of course, Speaker of the House from 1994 to 1998. And when did he run for president? I think 2012 he ran for president. And but he's been on Fox all the time, and very bright guy. Has a PhD in history from, I think, Tulane University. Was a professor. He has a few words to say about why socialism has become attractive to younger people in America. Let's listen to Newt and see what he has to say.
I think you're in a period where younger people who've been going through schools that have taught them that socialism is good, constant effort to convince them that socialism somehow is nice and pleasant and positive. You have a real sense, I think, that the economy has failed. There's a very high percentage of young people who are still living with their parents, cannot afford to go buy a house. You also have the fact that we graduated several million people who took degrees for which there are no jobs. So you go to Yale or Harvard or Princeton, Columbia, you get this great degree, you go out on the street and you find out you'll earn about the same amount if you are working, for Amazon as in whatever. Yeah,
well, there's an overeducated, earning crowd that is turning to socialism. And part of that is because they don't have the same opportunities right now that perhaps their parents did. All right, we've got a phone call from Georgia. Let's who's on the line from Georgia? Leonard, our man Leonard.
Great afternoon, Michael Patrick. You sound sharper, crisper, smarter at 3 o'clock than you do at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So you need to stay on that slot.
Leonard.
Anyway.
Now, that's kind of you to say, but let me tell you the weird thing about doing this in the afternoon.
Yes, sir. It's weird.
Well, it's different. I mean, you're setting the tone for the afternoon drive time. You're also kind of, the news cycle moves so fast, you're starting a new news cycle, which I think is good. But this is a minor thing. But let's just say, if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, the beverage of choice has changed. In the morning, you can do coffee. But following Dr. Omar Hamada's directive, 10321, don't drink coffee 10 hours before you go to sleep. This is filled with the classic cool H2O, not coffee.
Well, listen to Doctor, because you're going to be 100. Anyway, Michael, real quick, I know that there's other people listening, so this is a good slot because, like you said, it's a different news cycle. That idiot talking about socialism, where do they get this nonsense from? Go to any communist country, which is almost like a socialist country, other than they put a bullet in your head when you say something stupid, and they confiscate your property. And then I want to hear one socialist, Michael, ask them on the radio. You got a vast audience. How much should a professional athlete make? A movie star, a baseball player, a hockey player, a basketball player, an NWA player. Put a limit and see what they say about too much money. And grocery stores, shoplifting, every store that I know of, I worked at a grocery store, shoplifters, we prosecute them, we put them in jail, we wrestle them down, then they just walk out. Most stores will leave a community if they cannot make a profit, because
Well, and look,
yeah,
the lead socialists there, Mondani, Zoran Mondani. I almost said moron Zamtani. He's not a moron. Zoran Mondani. He's a smart guy, but he's totally wrong and misdirected. They're going to find out that those grocery stores in New York City are going to fail dramatically, and people won't be able to buy their food up there. So, hey, Leonard, thank you. Thank you for listening in the Afternoon Drive program. Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Up next, the best legal analyst in the country, moving along with us here in Hour 2 Monday, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Back after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Hurricane Lala weakened on Sunday through a mere tropical storm after raking Hawaii without making landfall over the weekend. It's heavy rains and winds strong enough, though, to sweep about 100 homes off their foundations on the Big Island. Hawaii County Mayor Kima Alameda says the good news is that the storm left nobody dead.
Now 65,000 people don't have electric. I mean, all of this devastation. And right now, there's no reports of storm-related fatalities.
2 paramedics did have to be rescued themselves after their vehicles were swept away by floodwaters. The Trump administration is applauding Border Patrol as some amazing stats are released.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt taking to her Truth Social page, alerting to the incredible numbers at our southern border with Mexico. She writes, daily apprehensions at the border are down 94%. Compared to former President Joe Biden's administration, and are at the lowest level seen in 30 years.
The Democrat Socialists of America quietly building a network now of activists to try and influence unions that are central to the Democrat Party. Here's correspondent Bernie Bennett.
The organization's plan encourages young socialists to select jobs where they can either unionize or join existing unions and move them further to the left. While most Americans are aware of DSA-backed office holders Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Zoran Mamdani, the strategy of placing members in unions may actually yield more important dividends for the organization's long-term goals. From 2018 to 2021, the Young Democrat Socialists of America adopted a, quote, rank-and-file strategy as a national priority. The YDSA added that it was organizing members to enter strategic industries such as logistics, education, and healthcare. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
It was a rough day on Wall Street for investors. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 272 points. The Nasdaq was off by 84. More of these stories at Town Hall.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
The U.S. Justice Department's internal watchdog is reviewing a practice by federal law enforcement to allow fentanyl to hit the streets to build bigger trafficking cases.
Current and former agents with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration say that when federal law enforcement knows of drug shipments but allows them to go into communities so they can build a bigger case against traffickers, it's gambling with public safety and may violate Justice Department rules. It comes less than 2 months after an Associated Press investigation found that DEA agents repeatedly monitored but did not seize major shipments of fentanyl in New Mexico between 2023 and 2025. The White House last year designated the synthetic opioid a weapon of mass destruction. Donna Warder, Washington.
There appears to be a bipartisan support on Capitol Hill to get rid of daylight saving time. President Trump supports keeping the time across the country the same all year long. You'll find breaking news at townhall.com. The administration is rolling out a new strategy to tackle homelessness, arguing that treating addiction and mental illness must come before simply providing housing.
HUD Secretary Scott Turner says years of housing-first policies have fallen short, pointing to statistics showing 75% of homeless Americans struggling with drug addiction and 78% suffer from mental illness. Turner says housing remains important, but housing alone is not enough. The new Treatment First toolkit, unveiled by HUD and HHS, aims to expand recovery services and connect homeless individuals with addiction and mental health treatment. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says lasting recovery starts with effective care, not leaving people trapped in addiction and homelessness. Ron Taylor reporting.
An 8-day halt of avocado imports from Mexico's main avocado-producing state of Michoacan has now been lifted. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Buckle up. It's hour 2 of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, the first afternoon, early drive time edition of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. And to commemorate this awesome event, we are joined in studio by the very best legal analyst in the country, bar none, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Welcome, Mark.
Good to be here.
Well, Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, so they were in the news for a couple of different things last week, and we've talked about the Southern Poverty Law Center before. A lot of your audience may not be aware of why this organization is called the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a kind of an odd name for a group that for the last several decades has done nothing but make lists of who liberals should hate and consider to be extremist organizations and hate groups and so forth.
Not just in the South.
And not
all
just
over the United States.
Exactly. So it was founded by a guy from Alabama, Morris Deese, and he went to law school, but he was making his living doing direct mail, selling cookbooks and other types of things. And this was before the internet, where you could only buy things 2 different ways. One is to go to a store, and another to buy it mail order. And so he was making a lot of money doing mail order, and in order to do mail order, you have to have a list. And then this guy got involved in the McGovern campaign, and
1972.
And was doing fundraising for them, and they came up with a big list of liberal donors, and he decided that, you know what, I should start a group. and I'll use my list, and we will raise money that way.
He had the list before he had the idea as to what the group would be, right?
I think so, and a lot of it came from McGovern donors. So he started out actually doing legal services for poor people in the South.
Okay, hence Southern Poverty Law Center.
And it made sense. And so they would represent, it was like legal aid for poor people, black and white, in the South. The trouble is that that's tedious work, it's not glamorous work, and it's not lucrative work. And nobody really pays attention and gets all soft-hearted, wants to write checks. So in the 80s, he had this idea, how can I get headlines and exploit the credulous, gullible, naive, and guilt-ridden...
Whoa. Credulous, gullible, naive, and guilt-ridden, what, liberals?
Liberals out there whose checkbooks are waiting to be tapped. And he said, well, we got to do something involving the KKK. And so the KKK...
Yeah, the KKK, was founded, I think, in Pulaski, Tennessee, back in right after the Civil War. And then disbanded by the much maligned Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest. He disbanded it after it got a little crazy.
And became a benefactor to the African-American community. But that's not what the liberals like to remember.
But just a little bit on the KKK. Then it was not really an organization. There were people that would run around in hoods and do stuff, but it wasn't an organization. It gathered steam in the early 1920s until there was a horrific scandal in the 1920s where one of the leaders was involved in the death of a young woman. And then it just kind of fell apart until it came back in the 60s and 70s to a degree.
Well, to a very small degree.
Small degree, yeah.
And so it's very decentralized, and so you have little chapters, little pockets here and there. And whenever they did something bad, the federal government would come in and arrest them and try them and convict them. So Morse Dees and his team swept in to a KKK chapter that had done something and had been arrested and convicted and decided, well, let's sue them and get a big judgment. And so when you're suing people that are broke and sometimes in jail, it's almost like getting a default judgment. You go into court and you claim whatever it is you want, and you can come up with $60 million in punitive damages or whatever. But it made for epic fundraising. And he realized then that I'm not going to waste my time performing legal services for poor people in the South. I am going to shake this money tree by claiming to be the white knight going after extremist groups and white supremacist groups. And that is defined their whole business model since then. And so they kind of claim to be the arbiter of who is an extremist group, who is a hate group in America. And people believed them, at least the liberals groups, because
they were the
credulous, gullible, naive, and guilt-ridden. And so we ended up in recent times with people like Ben Carson, Alliance Defending Freedom, and Family Research Council being lumped together with whatever remaining KKK and Aryan nations and other very fringe groups that probably have 100 people as members. But they made spectacular amounts of money. I mean, talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
They wanted to go for good versus evil. And these what was that term used for these the liberals?
Credulous, gullible, naive, and guilt-ridden.
Boom.
And so
that's the highlight of this.
So they made so much money, they built a 6-story palatial headquarters in Montgomery, Alabama that was nicknamed the Poverty Palace. They literally have hundreds of millions of dollars parked in offshore accounts. Yeah. But they had enormous credibility in the minds of either their gullible donors and under Democratic administrations, the federal government. But things started going south about 5 years ago. Morris Dees, the founder, and the president, Richard Cohen, were both fired or forced to resign because of misconduct. And these are guys pulling down $300,000-$400,000 a year salaries.
It was like personal foibles?
Actually, sexual and racial harassment of staff.
Bad boys.
So earlier this year, a the U.S. attorney down in Alabama indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center for 11 counts of wire fraud, making false statements to banks, and money laundering, because it turns out that the Southern Poverty Law Center was funneling a lot of money to these extremist groups that they were claiming that they were protecting the public from.
So they were paying the extremist group leaders to do extremist stuff so they could fundraise. Is that basically
over $4 million? And they used phony bank accounts and other things. So recently, the SPLC filed a motion to dismiss the indictment in federal court in Alabama using the same legal theory that our friend Kilmar Abrego Garcia used.
Vindictive prosecution.
Which is, okay, I did it, but the only reason you're charging me is because you don't like me. And it worked in Nashville, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But down there...
It's on appeal, but... Yeah.
It's on appeal. But down there, the judge, who was a Trump appointee named Emily Marks, she said, well, just because the administration doesn't like you and has said bad things about you doesn't mean that you didn't commit these crimes. And if you committed the crimes, and if there's evidence that you committed the crimes, I'm not going to interfere with the prosecution for these crimes just because there's some animus there. And so she dismissed it, or she denied the motion to dismiss, which is a great victory for the rule of law. But the other thing that happened is the indictment was amended to include a individual SPLC executive, Heidi Burek, who directly oversaw the fraudulent payments, including $140,000 paid to an informant in one of the extremist groups. It turns out she had a romantic relationship with this person, was living with this person, and the bank account that she was sending this $140,000 to with donor funds was a joint account.
No.
Yes.
It was joint?
A joint account.
What a dope.
What a dope. And
well, she thought she could get away with it.
Well, I guess, love is blind. And this woman...
You think that's what you call it, love?
Heidi Barrick is the person that came up with the hate map.
Yeah.
And on this hate map, they had listed Turning Point USA as a hate group, and they listed Turning Point shortly before Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Whoa. All right. Well, when we come back, we've got some electoral news, court decision that's good for the Trump administration. Back with our very good friend, the best legal analyst in the country, Mark Pulliam, after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girls' sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, the very best legal analyst in the country, the one, the only, Mark Pullian. It's been a career in big law, partner with a big law firm.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a study of the political affiliation. Did you see? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They did donations. I think they looked at the top 50 big law firms. These are the ones that charge like, I don't know, $1,000 an hour for legal service. These are the ones that are defending Kilmore and Braco Garcia. I mean, of the top 50, like 45 of them, like it was either 100% or 99% went to Democrats.
Yeah, the bigger the law firms have gotten and the more wealthy and profitable they are, the more liberal they've become. It wasn't anywhere near this bad, when I started practicing, but that's been
it was
over
bad,
40 years
but
ago.
Not near this bad.
Well, we had a fair number of Republican lawyers, conservative lawyers. We recruited at conservative and oriented law schools, BYU, University of Chicago. But all that's changed, and now everybody wants to be a Wall Street firm and kind of behaves like a Wall Street firm. So big law is a terrible thing, and particularly with the pro bono program.
Yeah, really.
And
let's find some stupid liberal idea, and let's throw millions of dollars in a pro bono way so that we can litigate against it.
Yeah. So, but there is some good news going on in the legal world.
We like good news.
So in the Fifth Circuit, which is the Court of Appeals, it covers, I believe, just Texas and Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
It used to cover pretty much all of the Deep South, but then they split off the 11th Circuit. But there's a bunch of judges that Trump appointed in his first term who are now sitting on the Fifth Circuit, and some of them appear to be auditioning for an opening either on the Supreme Court in the next 2 years or in the next Republican administration.
Well, of course, they almost all are. Don't you think?
Some of them are working harder at it than others. And so 2 of them that they were good, solid judges to begin with, but now I think they are making a special effort to, hey, look at me, I'm on your side. One of them is Andrew Oldham. The other's James Ho.
James Ho, H-O, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about the particular issue they decided. Explain it in simple language,
well,
so that we can all understand it.
So the first case was that Texas had enacted a voter integrity statute, SB 1, they called it, which limited mail ballot, had voter ID, eliminated bundling of mail-in ballots, etc., and all your normal, election integrity measures. And it got challenged by the same groups in front of the same judge time after time after time, and finally it made it in its final iteration to the Fifth Circuit. And Judge Oldham wrote this opinion, and you could tell he was sick and tired and he wasn't going to take it anymore. And the judge that had been doing most of the overturning is a guy named Xavier Rodriguez, who is in San Antonio, and he was appointed to the federal bench by George W. Bush, which, maybe you can read something into that. So he...
well, here's what I read into it. Weak.
Yeah.
I mean, weak legal scholars.
Yeah.
I mean, George W. Bush wanted to appoint Harriet Miers to the Supreme Court. And she was nothing great.
I think it goes beyond that. He saw the future of the Republican Party was to basically appease the Hispanic community, and so his Attorney General Alberto Gonzalez, and then this guy.
By the way,
Rodriguez.
I've done some news on Alberto Gonzalez. Apparently, he stepped down as dean of Belmont Law School. He's retired now. We'll try and get him on the show.
Yeah.
Give him a hard time.
Yeah. So Andy Oldham is recapping the history of this litigation involving SB 1, which was passed in 2021. So it's been in litigation for 5 years. And so he says, as so often happens in modern America, a federal district judge then countermanded the legislature with sweeping facial injunctions. We have been staying, vacating, and reversing these injunctions ever since. And then he has a footnote. He says, the above list does not tell the full story. Across the appeals from this consolidated lawsuit, we have reversed the district court on everything, from denials of motions to intervene, to denials of legislative privilege, to denials of motions to dismiss on sovereign immunity grounds. In short, we've been playing an exhausting game of whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole with the out-of-control federal district court judge.
To correct the district court's mishandling of this issue. And he goes through and slams them on their final issue, and did all of this in 11 pages.
By the way, this guy's my new favorite judge.
Yeah.
Because, what's the deal with judges? Because I'm reading all these cases in law school. They're 35 pages long, 40 pages long, and they just don't get to the point.
Well, remember when you were in school and you had to write a book report or an essay,
of X number of pages,
and you would sort of be counting the words, and the less you know about something, the more of a word salad you create, and the word salads tend to go on and on and on. So the longer something is, in general, the less they are saying.
As a journalist, what you want is concise language. And this is when you look at these decisions. Our style at the Tennessee Star, our lead sentence tells you what the story is about.
Yeah.
And then we follow the classic, if you will, the tree where you expand on it in each paragraph.
Right.
And we'll be able to hit these stories in like 750 words. That's what I'm used to. And then I look at these 35. I got to read these 35-page decisions. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, 100-page
It's like,
decision.
Really, get to the point, Your Honor.
So the other guy in the Fifth Circuit who's vying to get the attention of the White House is James Ho, and he's kind of digging himself out of a hole because when he was in private practice before he was on the Fifth Circuit, he was born in Taiwan. His parents came to the United States, and he got naturalized as a citizen here. And he was always arguing the other side of the John Eastman argument on birthright citizenship. But he realizes, well, that you're a dead man in terms of ever getting on the Supreme Court if you stick to that.
Yeah.
So he has now become a champion of this argument, is that in light of the mass immigration that we've had, we're being invaded, and that the president and the Congress could designate this mass immigration as a threat to our sovereignty. It's hostile, and that puts it all into a separate category. You can fall within one of the exceptions
Mm-hmm.
in Wong Kim Ark, and he kind of issued a concurring opinion last week where he kind of said, "Hey, I'm washing my mouth out with soap. All that stuff I said before. Don't listen to that.
Forget about it."
Yeah, forget about it. But basically, his
or what's the Saturday Night Live? Gilda Radner would say, "Never mind."
Yeah. So his argument now dovetails exactly with the Citizenship Act that has been introduced by Senator Jim Banks and Representative Brandon Gill, and so good for him. He understands how that works. And the other thing that happened this week, which is sort of bad news, but I think it's going to get reversed, a district judge appointed by Obama in Virginia said that a couple of schools in the Shenandoah Valley, one was named after Stonewall Jackson, and one was an elementary school that had Robert E. Lee as one of the two names in it. It violated the equal protection rights of minority school children to have to go to a school whose name they might disagree with on political grounds.
How does the judge get to that decision?
Well, it's crazy. And you can just imagine that, there's people who don't like Christopher Columbus. There's people that think that George Washington is a bad man because he owned slaves. There are people who think that Andrew Jackson was mean to Indians. If the idea is that the legislature and school boards are not in charge of naming schools, but unelected federal judges is, then we live in a madhouse. And so the Fourth Circuit, I think, is going to
slap it down. Yeah.
Slap it down.
Yeah.
But this just shows how arrogant they are.
They are arrogant.
And how drunk with power they are, and how out of control they are. And this is in Virginia. This is not Boston or Chicago or Portland. So it's, and the fact is Stonewall Jackson was on the faculty of Virginia Military Institute.
Yeah.
He was an excellent field general. He was respected. Robert E. Lee was respected by Democrats and liberals up until about 30 years ago. He was regarded as one of history's great men. And now you have federal judges, Obama appointees, who say, well, I don't care. They're on my list, and they lose.
Well, that will be reversed, I think. Okay, when we come back, this is interesting. Stick around. Tyler Robinson, Luigi Mangione, and the abuse of the criminal justice system. And boy, I think it's being abused. Back after this with Mark Pulliam. Did I say the best legal analyst in the country? I got to say that every time. Back after this.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Every morning, your Godzilla of Truth sets the table with the day's news. Starting August 17th at 10, Wendy Bell goes live with reaction and her own fiery fabulosity.
And I want MAGA to grow a wave of red, the likes of which you've never seen.
August 17th.
You're on the cusp of a golden age.
Wendy Bell, are you ready to go? Weekdays 10 to noon. On the John Fredericks Media Network.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Our guest, the best legal analyst in the country, Mark Pulliam. Mark, the criminal justice system in these high-profile murder cases, it seems to me they are dragging this thing out forever. We'll talk about Tyler Robinson, who has been arrested and indicted for murdering Charlie Kirk almost a year ago. And then Luigi Mangione, who was arrested and indicted for the murder of the United Healthcare executive in cold blood in downtown Manhattan. These cases seem to drag on and on and on. There is some news with Luigi Mangione, I think, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of some stuff here worth, reporting. And I get irritated by a lot of things happening in the legal world, but I get particularly irritated when they involve criminal justice, because the basic reason why people leave the state of nature and enter into civil society is for public safety. And that's criminal justice. And if you can't get that right, then basically your civil society, your government doesn't have any reason to exist. So that's the thing. If government gets anything right, it should be catching prosecuting and incarcerating or otherwise appropriately punishing criminals. So a couple of things have been going on about Luigi Mangione, and who is being charged, prosecuted for the execution of Brian Thompson, and also Tyler Robinson. One of the things that's going on in the Tyler Robinson case in Utah, the other one is in New York, is his lawyers are preemptively trying to get the death penalty taken off the table for Tyler Robinson. Sort of saying, okay, let's assume arguendo that he was the sniper on the rooftop. He fired the shot from the rifle that killed Charlie Kirk. That execution of Charlie Kirk does not warrant the death penalty, because under Utah law, you need more than that. You have to have something that created
others were at risk,
a high probability of death for other people. And just the fact that there were 2,000 people in a crowd surrounding him, that it was a clean shot. It was a downward trajectory, and really nobody else was at risk except for Charlie Kirk. So why don't you just be nice?
It was a long shot.
Yeah.
Could have gotten off a little bit.
And there was a time when lawyers would be embarrassed to make this argument, but nobody has any shame.
By the way, who's paying these lawyers?
Well, in Utah, they are getting paid in part by the taxpayers, as a taxpayer funded, and Mangione has wealthy parents, and he's got these GoFundMe accounts. He's got this adoring fan base, so we all read in the paper that Luigi Mangione pled guilty to federal charges for interstate stalking last week. And the reason it
was interstate stalking, not murder?
There is no federal charge of murder.
Right,
That's considered a state crime. It has to have some sort of interstate connection, which is why interstate stalking is a federal crime. And so people wondering, well, why would he plead guilty to that, since for the last year, his lawyer's been protesting he's innocent, the evidence isn't there and so forth. But so the reason for him, so Mangione faces both federal and state charges for the murder of Brian Thompson. The state charge is for second-degree murder, and some of this you have to blame on the legislatures.
Second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder.
He killed him, and allegedly shot him in the back in cold blood.
Yeah,
and stalked him.
So you have to blame New York law for this, which reserves first-degree murder, and this is in the statute, for special circumstances such as killing a police officer, a judge, committing a murder for hire, or mass terrorism. And prosecutors initially attempted to pursue a state terrorism enhancement, but the state judge said no.
The judge threw it out.
So the maximum sentence for second-degree murder in New York is only 25 years. The maximum potential sentence for the federal charges is life imprisonment. So why would he plead guilty to the federal charge? Well, I think they're assuming that a federal judge in New York City will not give him the maximum sentence because he's a youthful offender and this is his first offense. And they believe that they have an argument, again, because New York has a very weird approach to double jeopardy, that if he pleads guilty, even though it's not a murder charge, it involves a murder, and that
they'll try the double jeopardy angle
to get the charges, the state charges, dismissed.
But I don't think that'll work.
Well,
what do you think?
You never know. This is New York, and so now Tyler Robinson, he's making this argument that he shouldn't have the death penalty because he only killed one person, and that's a stupid law. But you have to blame the Utah legislature for that. I would bet that argument fails, and that after it fails and he knows that he is facing the death penalty, I think he will seek and obtain a plea bargain where he pleads guilty and gets life imprisonment without. And I would prefer to see him executed, but the reality is, even in Tennessee, and the Tennessee Star reported this recently, that this guy, Anthony Darrell Hines, was just now executed 40 years after this murder.
Yeah.
So, we have to move this stuff more quickly through the system. Trials need to be held within 6 months after the crime, not years after the crime. And there shouldn't be decades of appeals. If you're sentenced to death, the sentence should be carried out in a reasonably prompt fashion. A few years, not decades. So that's, I think, kind of a failure of our criminal justice system. And when we have admitted premeditated murderers gaming the system with absurd arguments, it makes a mockery of the law, and people lose faith in their system. Now, there's something else going on in the criminal justice system that's noteworthy. And the reality is, and it's sad, that there are now so many male prisoners pretending to be women and entitled, according to some federal judges, to be housed in women's prisons, that the safety of female prisoners is at risk.
Of course, because they pretend to be female. They still have all their male anatomy.
Yeah.
They go into the female prisons and watch out. They attack the female prisoners.
Yeah. But never fear, President Trump has a solution.
What's the solution?
Well, the Department of Justice has created a sex-segregated wing in a women's prison to house the biological men.
And has that been implemented?
They're going to transfer every male inmate. I think this is just in the federal system.
Yeah.
Male prisoners claiming to be female throughout the country will be assigned to one female-only prison, the Federal Medical Center Carswell in Fort Worth, Texas, and all of the biological men will be confined in one wing, separated from the biological women, so you won't have predation. Because these are, after all, felons, violent felons.
Sure.
They're conniving, cunning criminals, and they know how to game the system. And what a great thing if you're
they spend a lot of time gaming the system. That's what they do.
Yeah. And
they have no really moral compass at all.
Yeah, and you have judges, and this is a disgrace. I think the idea of taking seriously the claim that a biological man who's committed a crime as a biological man and who's been sentenced to prison as a biological man, once he's in prison, decides, I'm really a woman, and it's cruel and unusual to confine me to a prison with men. I should be and judges take this seriously. And it's not just Democrat judges, not just Biden and Obama and Clinton judges. Some of these are Reagan judges. And to me, you have no credibility as a judge if you can't do something that basic. This is like the WNBA.
I was going to say, are these criminals going to apply to get a leave to play in the WNBA?
Yeah, it's a joke. And
I got to say this about the WNBA.
Yeah.
The superstar, not necessarily. Caitlin Clark, of course, is a superstar on the WNBA, right? But I'll tell you who is really becoming a social media superstar is her wingman, Sophie Cunningham. Have you seen all the deals with her? It's not just the pointing.
Yeah.
But they apparently she must have a social media team that follows her, because she went to one of these bars. The Indiana Fever, they're in first place in their division. They win a game. She goes to a bar in Indiana, and she gets up and she starts singing a song, the Red, White, and Blue. Toby Keith's Red, White, and Blue.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
If the WNBA guys were smart, executives, maybe they're guys, who knows? If they were smart, they would harness this energy behind Sophie Cunningham. But they still haven't decided what a woman is.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of woke. This is what the United States would look like if it was run by affluent liberal women.
Awful.
Yeah,
it would be awful.
Yeah,
and fortunately, it's not awful yet.
Yeah.
And look, I think it's very interesting. Hey, we got some more legal things coming back. A judge who defied the Supreme Court is not defying them anymore. We'll have that and more with the best legal analyst in the country, Mark Pulliam, when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Ponder this. Most people want to have a good day every day. In order to do this, we must start our day with gratitude and keep an attitude of gratitude throughout the day. I offer you my recipe for having a great day and a joyful life. First, start each day being grateful that the Lord has given you another day to serve Him. Roll yourself out of bed, get on your knees, and say a morning prayer of thanksgiving. Ask the Lord to help you throughout the day to do whatever His will is for you. Next, thank God for the little things that make your day better. I thank Him immensely for my morning coffee and for my legs that allow me to take a morning walk. I pray for those who cannot walk because of age, injury, or disability. Throughout the rest of the day, I am grateful for the people God has placed in my life. I thank Him for those who love me, and I pray especially for those who do not love me. Find ways in your day to thank God continually and offer prayers for all those the good Lord has placed in your daily path. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Everybody's talking about weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. So, what if you're looking to lose weight but not interested in painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about some of those intense side effects? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The ingredients studied in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetite and cravings, so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. Get started with 20% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Go to TakeLean.com and enter the code Godzilla for your discount. That's discount code Godzilla at TakeLean.com.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of three who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, Mark Pulliam, the best legal analyst in the country. Mark, you called it. Allison Burroughs decided to defy the Supreme Court. And she said, well, you ruled on this temporary protected status, but I'm not going to do it for the Somalians because, they're special. She didn't use that argument. Tell us what's happened.
Well, so this saga of temporary protected status, which Congress passed a statute saying presidents have the unilateral and unreviewable right to designate countries that qualify and then to withdraw the designation. And by nature, it is temporary. So, of course, the withdrawal is just as important as the initial designation. And So President Trump, immediately upon taking office, issued an executive order saying, I'm withdrawing the designation for about a dozen third world countries that had dumped collectively probably 1 million or more people in the United States who the only reason they're entitled to be here is that TPS designation. And the groups ran into court with their NGO money and the pro bono assistance of the fancy law firms to say you can't do that. That's not what the statute means. And it made its way up to the Supreme Court. Mullen v. Doe was decided, I think, in June of this year. And the Supreme Court said, no, that's exactly what the statute means. President Trump has the unreviewable discretion to withdraw TPS designation, and he's done so. So get on with it. And so everybody would have thought, okay, it's been decided by the highest court in the land, so it's going to happen, and it's going to happen pretty quickly. Well, it didn't happen quickly, at least in Boston, where 3 different judges had cases involving various designations, and there was some foot dragging, and the Trump administration had to go in and drag these judges in front of the First Circuit, and the First Circuit said, the Supreme Court has spoken, get on with it. And yet there was one rogue judge in Boston who refused to go along with this, and she was issuing what she called administrative stays, which a district court doesn't have any power to issue.
Made that up, right?
Yeah, it was like an injunction without rules.
Yeah.
Well, so finally, last week, the Obama appointee Allison Burroughs finally waved the white flag and yielded to the authority of the Supreme Court, Congress, and the First Circuit, all of which had said the game is over, just do it. And so she finally dismissed the litigation that was pending before her involving the Somalia TPS designation. And it took her 25 pages to say, you're right, the case is over, the Supreme Court is spoken. You could say this in a paragraph.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you could write it in a paragraph. Why did she do 25 pages?
So the deportations can and should begin. So all of the lower courts, and there was about a half dozen of them, there were some in Chicago, all over the country that had this TPS litigation, all of them have acceded to the Supreme Court's decision in Mullen v. Doe, with one exception. And James Percival, who's the general counsel of the Department of Homeland Security, he sends out a daily X post where he says how many days it's been since Mullen v. Doe was decided, and yet we haven't gotten finality on this. And that is the Biden-appointed Judge Brian Murphy in Boston has still not dismissed all challenges to the withdrawal of TPS status for Ethiopia.
Ethiopia is still out there.
It's still out there. I think it's on its deathbed, but and hopefully when he dismisses it, it won't be.
What are these guys? They're thinking, I'm going to defy the Supreme Court? You're just a federal district trial judge.
But they have life tenure, and they are, all these guys are, 40 years old or so. They went to law school in the era where they believe that federal judges ought to be able to do whatever they want, and that their mission as a federal judge is to create a utopian society.
Spare me.
Speaking of these types of judges, the other 2 cases that we've been talking about at great length on this show, one is the Trump v. IRS case. It's a crime and it's an offense with very stiff civil penalties to release confidential tax records. It's supposed to be the most secure, confidential transaction you have with the federal government is submitting your tax return. Well, President Trump's tax returns, not just his, but all of his affiliated companies, were released by a bad actor who was a government contractor working for the IRS. And President Trump, that guy, went to jail, pled guilty, and is in prison right now. And President Trump filed a lawsuit saying, okay, that guy's in jail, but I have civil penalties that are due me. He sued the IRS and the Department of Treasury. They reached a settlement, and upon reaching the settlement, they dismissed the case. After the case was dismissed, this judge in Florida, Williams, down in Miami, who's a Democrat, invited a bunch of liberals, strangers to the case to intervene and whatnot. So three things have happened in that case. That they're
We got
trying
60
to
seconds.
stay the sanctions award, and they're trying to prevent the state bars from acting upon the lawyers. And Jeff Clark's group, Oversight Project, filed an amicus brief.
What's going to happen there? 10 seconds.
I hope the 11th Circuit slaps this woman down.
I think they will.
Yeah.
And on that note, Mark Pulliam, did I say the best legal analyst in the country? Thanks for joining us every Monday in hour 2 of the program. That means 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website, TennesseeStar.com. Thanks so much for joining us.